Hi there, my name is Tracy. This is the 3-Wick Thesis Candle channel, and today I have for you an episode from my lit review series, and we're focused on Goose Creek's new fall coffee shop collection. There are 7 candles in this particular series. 2 of them are new fragrances, and that is the Bookstore Café, which we have been waiting for, and the Pumpkin Sugar Donut. There are several returning fragrances that are not new to me, including whipped caramel espresso and caramel spice frosting. I have caramel spice frosting here. I bought this actually on clearance from last year's stock, so I'll be reviewing this one. Same fragrance, but different label. And then the whipped caramel espresso is one that I had as a part of my best coffee candle series. I've already done essentially a lit review on it, so I'll go ahead and put a card up here. If your cards are on, you can click that link to go right to that review, or I'll put a link in the description below if that's easier for you, and you can click on that link and you will see my feedback on that particular fragrance. It's a good one. I like it generally. The Hubs likes coffee fragrances. It's not one that he's going to really gravitate towards in his relatively large coffee candle collection at the moment, so we did pass on picking up a repurchase of it. However, I do think it is repurchase worthy if you have the space, which I do not. If you are new here, my lit reviews all follow the same format. I've got my box here. I'm going to unbox the candles with you, share the scent notes, and my first impressions. I will show you the wax, the label, the wicks, the lid, all that good stuff. Then I will cut the video, go out, spend a few days with these candles, take notes on things like strength and throw, any issues I think that might be related to burn quality, and then talk about how the scent evolves and share my burn footage with you after the cut. All right, let's dig in. Had to get the box a little bit different situated. Y'all, I'm having some rotator cuff pain right now in my right arm, and it's a killer. I don't know if y'all have ever experienced that, but basically I can't use my wing. So if I spread my arm out too far to the right, or if I lift something heavy, it lets me know. It screams at me. And I'm trying, Tylenol and I'm icing, and it's getting worse, I think, before it's going to get better. So got to doctor my right arm a little bit. So if it looks like I'm doing weird things, that's what's going on. Goose Creek always packages their candles the same way. You're going to get 2 empty crates on top. Your candles will come in either a 4-pack, a 6-pack, or a 12-pack. This one is a 12-pack box. They always send you an insert for their other products, the foaming hand soap and the plug-in. And I think I may have an extra candle in this order because I think it was this the buy 3 get 4 sale? Yeah, it was. So I have 7 candles. I don't remember what the extra ones were I picked up. Let me just look at those real quick. Yeah, okay, so it's 2 candles that are a part of the men's collection, which I'll have separate reviews out on these, but I'll just show them to you real quick. One is the bourbon, and the other one is the applewood. I hadn't tried either of these, and I was like, you know what, I need 2 more to get up to 7. Let me just toss those in the cart. So I do have these. They'll not be a part of this episode, but you will see them in a future review because they're new to me. I want to try them, and I want to let you know how I feel and think about them. And then I also tossed in some wax melts because I wanted to get free shipping. So I have 6 here. Yeah, most of these are all fragrances I have already done before, so maybe I'll save these for a Wax Melt Wednesday episode. Okay, let's dig in and just grab one and see what I get. It is the French Toast, and I got a wonky lid, y'all. This side refuses to stay shut. It's just popping up. Yeah, and the seal is misaligned up here. It's not stuck in the right spot, so that's kind of a bummer. Gold lid, by the way. This label is gorgeous. We've got kind of curly cues here in the background. So it does just turn to a plain back. Beautiful picture of realistic French toast on the front. Although I will say the berries on this make me think there could be a berry note in here. But if you look at the scent notes, which I am very happy are on the front of the jar, along with a brief description over here and a fall coffee shop collection emblem here. Love the scallop edge on this too. Kind of feels like a postage stamp. The scent notes do not mention berry. It's warm French toast, melted butter, maple syrup, and chopped pecans. Yeah, no berry note in here at all. It's maple first. I am getting some butter and what feels like, I mean, it legitimately smells like French toast. It's bready, but with a hint of like a warm baker's cinnamon. The pecan might be in there, but to my nose, it's reading more of like a brown butter. At least for me, when I make French toast and I put the butter down first, if you don't get the French toast on the pan hot enough, the butter starts to brown and gets kind of savory and almost nutty. I'm picking up on that, which might actually be the pecan in here. But it reads more like brown butter. I'm not feeling a whole lot of distinction between this one and Maple Butter Pancakes. That's one of their more earlier collections that came out, what was that, early spring? That one's delicious. And this one, at least on cold, does not feel as strong as that one. It's also not as cloyingly sweet as that one is on cold. So this one is a little bit more tuned down on terms of sweetness and mapleness. And in general, just feels really well balanced with the kind of the bready spice, the maple, and the butter. And the nuttiness, which to me, again, reads like it's coming from the butter, but probably coming from the pecan. White wax on this one with thin, stiff, ropey wicks. Almost thin curly. Those are very thin wicks. Next, we have pumpkin sugar donut. And this is one of the new ones, I believe. Let me just confirm. Yes, this is one of the new fragrances to all of us. So similar label with the steam clouds or the curlicues. Kind of makes me think of like steamed milk or hot coffee that's steaming. More of an orange color on the label. A donut with a bite taken out of it. And that's a cake donut here. Scent notes are pumpkin puree, cinnamon sugar, and hot fried donuts. Yeah, I don't think I like this one. It's that's their fried note, their pastry note. Yeah, what am I smelling? Yeah, I think it's the lid. The lid stinks. But the candle doesn't smell that bad. So maybe there's something funky with the lid. It almost smells metallic and like a bit perfumey, like it's the wrong lid. Yeah, I'm just not going to sniff that. I'm going to sniff just the wax here. It's very light on cold. I am getting a hint of what feels like a metallic note, but I can tell from sniffing the wax that it's whatever cinnamon that they're using in here. I don't know how that's going to play out on warm. I'm not enjoying it on cold. I get a fried dough note, but it doesn't scream donut to me. Like it's not like the fried note that's in, say, jelly donut from Kringle or apple donut from Goose Creek or the new strawberry strudel from Bath & Body Works. If you could smell it, this is very subtle. It doesn't feel very heavy or oily. It kind of just feels like a very muted pumpkin spice candle. There's a creaminess to it, probably coming from the pumpkin puree. Yeah, I hope that comes to life, y'all. I don't know about that. Same wax, same wicks, and same lid. And that lid stinks. Toasty Pumpkin Toddy. This one is a new to me. So you've got the pumpkin toddy on the front, same curlicues, kind of more of a squash color here. This is scent notes of spiced pumpkin, toasted pecans, rich molasses, and dark rum. So I'm expecting more of a dark sugar with this one. Oh. Yeah, that's delicious. I get molasses first, but it's not, what is it called? Blackstrap molasses? It's not the super pungent, potent, dark molasses. It is a sweet molasses, more like what you would get with like a molasses cookie. So you're getting a hint of that bitterness and the sweetness, but it's also paired nicely with a sugar sweet vibe. The cinnamon in here is nice. It feels like it walks the line between like a warm baker's cinnamon and a spicy hot. And I'm guessing the sweetness is coming from the dark rum as well. This does not feel super boozy to me. There's like a hint of booziness, but it doesn't feel immediately like rum to me. If you tell me it's rum, I believe you, because I feel like I'm getting the spice too, and then that's playing with the booziness, which makes me think of rum. Yeah, there's definitely a boozy element, but I don't think it's super strong. I really like this on cold. This is absolutely beautiful. I cannot wait to fire this one up. Same wax, same wicks, same lid. Warm apple spice. And what is this? Is this an apple? Oh, it's like one of those, it's like what are these called? Y'all help me out. They sell them at Starbucks and they have them in apple. They also have one, I think, that's in plum during winter. For the life of me, I cannot remember what these things are called, but it's a pastry, not an actual pie. It is scent notes of juicy Macintosh apple, cinnamon sugar, and sweet vanilla. And then it has beautiful dark brown label. I really like this color with the dark swirls. Same lid, same wax, and same wicks. So it almost looked like core wicks for a second, but they're the same. This is also pretty light on cold. I'm worried about the throw on these, y'all, and the strength. Macintosh apple right out of the gate. Juicy, crisp, sweet, kind of make my mouth water. It's like it's hitting the tart parts of my glands and saying, you need some of this, right? Making some saliva. So it's very tart, very crisp, very fresh and juicy. I feel like I'm getting something that almost feels earthy, like a vanilla bean and a cinnamon bark. Not super sweet. I was expecting it to be a little bit more balanced between tartness and brightness with the apple and like a sweetness from the vanilla and the cinnamon sugar. But it's kind of just really tart and spice forward. But definitely more of like a vanilla bean. It's not extracty. Almost creamy with the vanilla that's in there. Kind of makes me think of like if you were eating apples with like a cinnamon sugar glaze on it that had some vanilla in it. It's almost perfumey to my nose, which that's me and my kind of dislike of apple. The apple in here is so crisp and so bright that it almost registers to me like a perfumey note. It's not perfumey, but that's how my brain is making sense of it. It's okay. Not my favorite apple fragrance thus far this season. And I'm actually starting to enjoy Macintosh more. Ooh, yes. Bookstore Café. And this is the last one of the new labels that I have in here. So we have, looks like some sort of latte beverage here with some whipped cream and nuts on the top. More of an orangish color, kind of a coffee orange with the curly cues. This one has the same lid, hazelnut cappuccino, rows of books, and a comfy chair. Same lid, same wax, same wicks. I don't know, y'all. How do I even describe what I'm smelling? Yeah. Okay. If you have a Barnes and Noble around you that has a Starbucks inside and you walk in and you smell like new books with coffee, that's what this smells like. Like exactly like that. Rows of books. I don't know why I was envisioning something musty and kind of dusty. But it actually smells more like a brand new book. Like if you have a new book at home and you want to just thumb your thumb the pages and take a whiff of that air, that's the book note that's in here. You get a coffee note, but it's also blended with like a sweet kind of milky note, and you can tell there's something like a flavor in there. I don't think my brain would immediately pick out hazelnut by any means, but like it smells like you are in a bookstore with brand new books and somebody has been making coffee drinks with syrup and milk. That's the vibe I get from this. I think I like it. Again, it reads just a hint perfumey to me. There's something probably about that book note. I have never smelled anything like this in the year that I've been heavily buying candles from Goose Creek, Bath & Body Works, and Kringle. It's unique. I don't know that I get comfy chair vibes. I was expecting like either a cashmere or a leather note. I'm really just getting books. Books and coffee. Yeah, this straight up smells like a Barnes & Noble with a Starbucks in it. That's the best explanation that I have for this candle. Yeah, my label's a little bit wonky on this one. You can see it's not quite sealed properly over here and has some bubbles in the seal. Yeah, that's what this one is just, it's weird. It's weird. I think I'm going to rank it higher because it's perplexing me. Usually that goes one of two ways. I either love it or I'm like, no. We'll see. We'll see after the cut. And then the last one I'm reviewing in this lit review, again, last year's label, the Caramel Spice Frosting. Now, I'm already going into this with a bit of bias because I've heard from y'all when I hauled this one, and some of you confirmed in my Weekend Deals video. Summer from Fragrance Junkie, for example, confirmed, and I trust her reviews, that this one started to smell burnt after a couple of burns. So I may spend a little bit more time with this one and see if it develops. My only concern is if it does develop, and I tell you that, it could be last year's issue and not this year's issue. So I'm going to try to focus just on the fragrance notes. And then, if I get the burn note, just give you a little asterisk that's like, hey, that could change because this is last year's. And last year's collection clearly had different wicks. These are thin curly, white wax. This is a stainless steel lid, so different lid in this collection last year. They still had the realistic photos, but this is more of their signature line label. I always think this looks like Oregon, the state of Oregon, or like Washington, the shape of this label. Caramel Spice Frosting is caramel, warm spices, vanilla, and toffee, and I really like how this smells on cold. It just smells super, super sweet. There's a hint of something in here that feels a bit bright to me. Like you could tell me there was pear in here and I would believe you. There's not a pear note at all, but I think it's the way that the caramel is like melty vibes or like a syrupy caramel and how that's mixing with some of the vanilla in here. There's just something that feels with that cinnamon kind of bright and high pitched. It's definitely a warmer baking cinnamon, but I also get a hint of something a little bit spicy hot. Yeah, just very warm, melty caramel scent. Toffee. Not so much toffee. Mostly just caramel and vanilla, and it's just syrupy and frosting-like. Again, really excited to fire this one up, but hesitant given the advice I have received from others. So let me do cold rank for y'all from my least favorite to my most favorite. No question, this pumpkin sugar donut is in last place. There is just something weird about the note in here. I don't know what that is, y'all. It just smells metallic to me. I don't know if they tried to do like a burnt pumpkin or something, or it's just the hot fried donut note. I really hope that changes on warm. Right now, that's like a no way vibe, and I hope that evolves. Warm apple spice, I do like this one, but the Macintosh is super bright, and I'm kind of craving more of the vanilla note. Plus, to be transparent, not always an apple fan, so keep that in mind with this ranking. It's going to bias my suggestions. Caramel Spice Frosting would be next. And I think that's because I love the fragrance, but I'm super hesitant about the burn. If I didn't have that inside knowledge, I probably would rank it above French Toast, which I'm doing third, mostly because I feel like this smells a lot like maple butter pancakes, and I don't really think I need 2 of those. And that one's a beast, so I probably would prefer it depending on how this one delivers. Bookstore Café I would do as number 2 because it intrigues me and I want to know more. And number 1 would be Toasted Pumpkin Toddy. I really like the subtleness of the rum note in here. That molasses is really pretty. It doesn't go too dark, and it's just really well balanced with the spice that's in here. All right, y'all. I'm going to go spend a few days with these, take some burn footage, take copious notes, and I'll be right back after the cut to share with you my findings. All right, I'm back, and this collection didn't evolve much. Just one switcheroo in terms of ranking, and it should key you into how I felt about a particular one because an Apple one moved up. So that one that I thought I would like kind of dropped down. I'm going to do what I usually do, is start with my least favorite first. You're not going to be surprised. It is Pumpkin Sugar Donut. Now, I had high hopes for this, that metallic note, it's just the lid, right? It's just the lid. And that it wouldn't smell like that when it was burning. No, it smells like that when it's burning. The best way I can describe this candle is like someone who has never made pumpkin pastry was basing their memory off of what pumpkin pastry would smell like when you first open a can of pumpkin puree. That's the best way I can describe it. It is metallic. There is a metallic note in here, and I don't understand it. I wanted to love this, but it straight up just smells like canned pumpkin. And literally like the can and the pumpkin inside of it. The note that's in here, the puree note that's in here is actually really good. It does smell like pumpkin puree. It is earthy. It is sweet. I actually feel like I'm getting a concentrated sense of that on warm. However, with whatever this metallic note is, and I don't know if that's like supposed to be what fried donut smells like to whoever made this fragrance. I'm so confused. And by the way, I looked on the subreddit yesterday. I was very happy to see my thoughts of this being tin can, canned pumpkin vibe related, validated. It's rare that someone has the exact specific connection that I did in my head, but I'm not the only one. Someone on the subreddit also said it smelled like pumpkin puree in a can. There is a cinnamon note in here that is warm and pleasant. There's also a sweetness that's not cloying, and it does, to me, the way the cinnamon and the sugar play off of each other, it does give you that sense of when you bite into a cinnamon sugar donut and you get like kind of that crystallized sugar vibe in your mouth with the warm bakery cinnamon in your senses at the same time. They did a good job of capturing that. So the cinnamon and the sweet is perfect. I would say this was medium strength, good throw. It did fill the space. However, it felt a little bit stronger further away. So it's good at projecting, but maybe not so much keeping it closer to the candle. I got no actual donut scent out of this at all. So if you are looking for, the way I would describe this candle is if you are looking for a candle where you are eating cinnamon sugar donuts, but like you kind of are just taking that first bite, so you haven't gotten the donut flavor yet, just the cinnamon sugar, while opening a can of pumpkin puree, then this is going to be your go-to. It's so bad, y'all. It's really bad. I just don't, how do you ruin a pumpkin donut? Yeah, it's so metallic. That metallic note almost reads like perfume to my brain. It also almost reads like BO to my brain. Don't buy it. Please don't. You will be very disappointed. Wow, what a sad result of a new fragrance. I hope they work on that and fix it because there's potential there, but that ain't it. Okay, number 5. Originally I had Warm Apple Spices 5, but it switched places with Caramel Spice Frosting because I was able to replicate the burnt smell that others have described with this one. I don't think, this is just my gut, I don't know for sure, I don't think that it is a batch issue. I don't think that's something that's going to improve with this year's label. I think that's what the candle is. And it's not the same burnt note that I get when I think a candle is getting charred or it smells actually burnt, at least not for me. Like right now, I'm having trouble with blueberry funnel cake. I'm having trouble with their, was it buttered toffee popcorn or something? I'm having trouble with a couple of them smelling legitimately like burnt tar. Like they legit smell like they caught on fire and now they smell. This isn't quite the same. It's not, it doesn't smell like it's been on fire or like it's a soot issue. To me, it smells like what happens when you overspice a baked good. I don't know if any of y'all bake, but if you do and you add too much spice, it has like it's like a really, really bitter, almost burnt vibe to it. This ends up smelling like an overspiced bran muffin, is the best way I can describe it to me. And bran has a very deep, dark, it almost gives me burnt vibes. It's not burnt, but it has that like bitterness to it that this is giving. And if I had to guess, I think they tried to make the caramel bitter and then they added the spice and then it was overspiced. The caramel went too bitter and now you're getting what smells like an overspiced bran muffin. I definitely do not in any way, shape, or form get frosting on warm. And the frosting on cold is beautiful. And so you have these high hopes that this is going to be like a really sweet gourmand. It's not. It feels like a healthy muffin that's been overspiced. That is my read of it. And honestly, y'all, I don't get the caramel or the frosting on warm. It's just like a bran spiced muffin to me. So I would not recommend this for scent authenticity. If you want to smell a spiced bran muffin, go for it, pick it up. Now, in terms of strength and throw, this was the only one in the collection that got beast status and creeper status. It was very strong. It filled the space. It crept up the door. It's got power. Unfortunately, it's a power that I don't necessarily want to smell. I haven't decided whether or not I'm going to destash this. I'm going to give it a couple more tries. I don't mind that it smells like spiced bran muffin. It's just not what I wanted, right? It's not being sold to me as spiced bran muffin. It's being sold to me as cupcake frosting. By the way, this did remind me a little bit of the apple, what's the new one? I'll put a picture of it up here because I can't remember the name of it. The Kringle apple spice cake that was supposed to be a gourmand that came out. It has that same, it's like rich, dark, spice, sweet starch note to it. That one is actually date. That scent note is date that's in that candle. But this one gives me that similar vibe. Just super bitter, sweet spice. Bran muffin. Smells like a bran muffin to me. Number 4. Bumped up one, and that is warm apple spice. If you like pie filling, I think this would be a good go-to for you. One of y'all, I cannot remember who you were. I'm sorry. Asked me about a Yankee candle that had apple and spice and sugar in it, and you were looking for a comparison. This isn't a dupe, but it's close. I think if you like that Yankee candle that you asked about, was it apple and cinnamon, something like that, but you want the apple to be a little bit tartar, this would be a good go-to for you. Because this to me, although it says Macintosh, this reads really bright, really sharp, and almost comes across as a green apple to my nose. So it's a very tart apple, very crisp. You get a sense that this is a filling, not a pastry. And there is no pastry note in this, so it makes sense to me. This is like, if you're like me, or like my kid nephew used to do this when he was younger, he would like eat all of the pastry out first and then eat the filling by itself. This kind of smells like you just ate the center of this pastry right here. Like you're not getting any of the doughy goodness. You're just getting the cooked apple that's super tart. Again, if you're talking baked apple, this is definitely reads like a Granny Smith to me. Baked apple with the cinnamon and sugar, and the glaze, the vanilla glaze that's been put over the top is like soaked into the apples. That's what this smells like. So I don't get a pastry note. It just smells straight up like cooked, to me, green apple with cinnamon and sugar and a vanilla glaze. It's pleasant. I don't have any complaints. I just don't gravitate towards apple fragrances. So that's why it's lower down on the list. Solid medium. I wouldn't put this in a strong category. And then good throw. It filled the space, wasn't elusive. So pretty like middle of the road. No problems. It's authentic. I like it, but it's not my favorite. Number 3 is French toast. This one's kept its position. This I would rank as a medium to strong. I think that maple butter pancakes maybe ruined it for me. I was expecting it to be a powerhouse, and it just doesn't compare to that one. That one, however, does not have a cinnamon sugar note in it like this one does. So if you want something that smells like maple and French toast, this is definitely going to be your go-to. I feel like the bready cinnamon note ramps up on warm and the sweetness of the maple kind of comes down. It's actually, to me, first and foremost, a cinnamon bread candle with maple kind of subtly creeping into the background, which I didn't mind. I thought it was very pleasant. It is buttery. It feels like freshly melted butter on warm. I will say that this is not a powerhouse. However, it sticks to you. I was burning this in the usual laboratory space, and I was down there maybe 5 minutes. I usually like to sit with it for a minute, get used to it, kind of really sit and try to interpret what I'm smelling. Went for a walk 30 minutes later, and I was like, is it coming out of the garage? And then I was like, oh no, it's me. I smell like the candles, so it's clingy. It's going to cling to stuff, fabrics, your clothing, your hair. It didn't last long outdoors, maybe 5 minutes. I couldn't smell it anymore. But although it's not cloying and although it's not a beast, it will cling to you and the things in your home. I would categorize this as good throw. It filled the space, didn't creep out, wasn't elusive. I do really like this one. It's feeling a bit redundant to me with maple butter pancakes. And then there was, caramel maple butter pancake or caramel maple pancake. I think I'd put this one as number 2 in all that category, but it really does set itself apart with it having that cinnamon note in there, the bready cinnamon. So I would recommend that if you like French toast. I also would recommend pairing this with something fruity. If you like fruit with your French toast, I would think that blueberry pancakes from Bath & Body Works might go well with this. I could imagine the new strawberry strudel, if you got one that throws and isn't nasty wax or wicks, it would go well with this one. Something fruity that's comparably sweet would pair nicely. I did keep Bookstore Café in place 2. And this one, y'all, I think I need to get to know it more. It and I are strangers, and I'm trying to figure it out still. This candle is probably the weirdest candle I've smelled this year. I like it for that reason. But as a reviewer, it is very hard for me to describe to you what I am experiencing because I don't have the words. I don't have the connections, the conceptions, other than that it smells like a Barnes & Noble when you walk into one that has a Starbucks. And I still stand by that. It does, however, evolve a bit on warm. First and foremost, overall, this is a warm, cozy fragrance. It fills the space. It makes me feel comfortable. It's not sharp. It's not sweet. It's not perfumey, it's not cologne-y. There's nothing off-putting about this scent, which I can really appreciate. I don't get a coffee note in this at all on warm. And honestly, I don't really get a strong coffee note on cold. It's more of just like there's an air of coffee in the environment, right? Like somebody was making coffee beverages, not like I'm sniffing a cup of coffee. That almost gets completely lost. There is, however, still a sweetness that I would associate with a coffee beverage, like either a sweet cream or a syrup. You're picking up on some sort of sweetness there. I also feel like I'm getting a hint of what feels like a cashmere or a vanilla orchid. It is not your classic body cream, body care vanilla. It's not that. But it just feels, there's something in here that feels warm and comforting that I can't put my finger on, that feels in that same wheelhouse, but not perfumey to my nose, not body care to my nose. There is a creaminess to this that ends up reading a little bit like a creamy papyrus, like a creamy paper. That doesn't make any sense conceptually because we don't like cook our paper. We don't cream our books, right? But something makes me think of like just soft papyrus. Like I would snuggle with a book sort of vibe. I asked the hubs, and he's not always best at just blind sniffing. And I said, what do you smell? Just tell me. I know you're not good at it, but what do you smell when you sniff this candle? And it was lit. And he said, I get citrus. And I was like, what? Citrus? I was like, wow, we smell very different things. And he's like, I don't know. That's what I smell. I was like, all right, what a weirdo. He walked away. I went over and smelled it. And I was like, oh, I think I get citrus too. Like, I think I get what he's talking about. And it almost registers like all the things I've already said on the one hand. But then on the other hand, I almost pick up what feels like an herbal tea vibe. Like there's like a slight lemon sweetness that feels tea-like, but it's not herbal tea. But it's also not vanilla orchid. But it's also not regular papyrus. But it's also not cashmere. And my brain is just like, it's melting. There's steam coming out of my ears trying to figure this candle out. Book locked without bergamot, but then it feels like it's got a citrus note in there. I can't help y'all. That's the best I got. Other than I would say it's not offensive. And if you're curious about it, pick it up. I think I'm going to enjoy it. That's my energy. It feels like a pleasant candle. I need to get to know it more. I think it's quite possible that once I burn through this more than once, that I will do a lighting the way if I gain more insights. If I don't, it'll just show up in an empties video. It's an oddball, and I love it for that reason. So, put it in number 2. Now, strength and throw, that one, medium to light. It was not very strong. I wanted more, and the throw felt a bit elusive. So, not a powerhouse, not super strong. Again, that could change. This is just first burn. Sometimes a candle doesn't bloom until the second or third burn. But right now, it's pretty light, which is, I guess, another good thing. If it is offensive to you, it's not going to be a powerhouse. But it wasn't offensive to me, and I do like the smell. That means that Toasty Pumpkin Toddy keeps its first place position. Is it well deserved? Honestly, I'm not sure, because this one has some strength issues to me. I wanted this to be more of a powerhouse. It's medium, leaning towards light to my nose. But I do really love the way the scents play together in this candle. When you light it, the rum note becomes more present. So if you don't like booze, I don't think you'd like this candle. It gets boozy. It smells like a spiced rum to me with those spice notes that are in here. The molasses note in here is very pleasant. It's bitter. It's sweet. It brings a sense of like depth and complexity. It makes it a little bit darker than some of the super cloyingly sweet fall fragrances that we have out there, especially ones that have cinnamon and like sweetness to them. It's warm, it's creamy, it feels like a smooth spice. It literally feels like a drink, a creamy, warm drink that I would be consuming. So it's very authentic, but just suffers with strength, medium to light. And the throw was good. No elusive throw. It did fill the space. I just wanted more power. Who knows? Second or third burn, it may come to life. But for now, I'm ranking it as medium to light. And I still put it in first place with the rest of them, if that gives you any insight. I think overall, this is not a collection that excites me on warm. Honestly, some of this doesn't excite me on cold. I'm happy to have tried it, but if I were to compare this to the spring/summer coffee house collection that came out, that one was better. I feel like you've got actual coffee scents. It needs some work. It's getting there, but it needs to be tweaked a bit for this to be as good as the earlier coffee house collection that came out. Let me know in the comments below what your first impressions of these new ones have been. I know some of y'all have already burned the pumpkin donut one, for example. Validate me or contradict me. Tell me what you got and let me know. Is it a batch issue? Does it just smell like tin can because there's something wrong with it? Or is that your vibe too? Which one are you most excited to purchase and or rip into? Do you have any questions for me about these candles? Put those in the comments. Before you take off, make sure you give me a thumbs up if you appreciated this content. Give me a super thanks if you think I saved you some coin and you want to pass it along to support my channel. And I've got good stuff coming down the line. I have a Scentsy warmer unboxing that I'm going to share with you that I'll also talk about the difference between my warmers, my crock, and my lamp. I have a Kringle haul that I'm looking at over here. I have some new Halloween stuff coming from Homeworks that I'm going to review. You want to be here with me and subscribe so you see that stuff in your YouTube feed. And if you want to know right away, turn on notifications. But if you don't, that's fine too. I never turn on notifications on mine. It would be buzzing all the time and distracting me. I don't know about y'all. That's how I am. All right, I will see you again tomorrow. Until then, have a great rest of your weekend. Bye-bye.